then we will approve those minutes and move forward. Okay, let's go to, we're not going to go over the reports. I'm not going to even go over having everybody talk about their reports. The reports were sent out that we received, and we'll move on down to the, unless somebody has something specific they want to add. Is there anything you want to add to your report? Anybody?
No.
No.
Nope. Okay, then we will move on and accept those reports as given by audit and move down to the ad hoc committees, the status of electronic voting provider. Kevin, have you been working on that?
No,
I think that was Paul.
it's Paul.
No.
Yeah, I'm here.
What are you talking about?
So electronic voting.
Yeah, the provider. Now, Paul and Kevin may be the ones that are working on that. I'm not sure. Was it Paul and Kevin?
Yes, we have been.
Okay, and were you guys on that?
What I've gotten so far, I know Kevin's been working on it too. We're just looking at the different providers, but the issue that we run into is because we're incorporated in the state of Connecticut, we currently cannot vote electronically, at least for voting for board elections. So it kind of makes doing it then a little bit of a moot point, because it's not that inexpensive, and we can't use it for really what we wanted to do, which is for the elections. I mean, the judges—
And it's because of our incorporation in the wrong state.
Because we're incorporated in the wrong state. And I've been in contact with, I think the ladies from the Pug Dog Club, and they are actually moving out of, they were in Massachusetts, I think, moving out of Massachusetts so to another state because of this. But she said it is a very lengthy process and a pain in the ass. And she doesn't know if she had to do it again, that she would actually want to do it. But it can be done, and you do need an attorney.
It sounds like, well, to me, it sounds like more than any of us want to take on at this point.
Yes. What do you think, Kevin?
Honestly, I forgot about the whole thing about moving the incorporated club.
I know you were thinking about doing it in Maryland, maybe, and I think you can, because somebody had mentioned that they were doing it there. From Maryland is fine. If we move there, we just have to go through that process in order to do it. How did you feel, Kevin, the last judges election went in terms of the whole process being done electronically? Was it seamless, or was it a little difficult? Or
It was actually very easy.
Okay.
The hiccups I found were with some of the members not able to navigate their ballots correctly, but with a higher level of purchase for that balloting, like I only purchased the lowest level. With a higher level, it would have been easier to manage and to resend those ballots. Like I was only able to resend two. But from the aspect of managing those ballots, once I figured out the kinks, I was able to take the members who indicated to me how they wished to vote, and I was able to cast those ballots on their behalf. So now that I know how to do that, I think that if it happened again that way, I could run the election. If I had to do so again, I could run that election using that same provider.
Okay, maybe we could up it a little bit, so to make it a little easier. Is the charge a lot more?
It wasn't too much more. I sent you a screenshot of the levels of provisioning that they do. It wasn't very expensive for each election. It is on an election basis, not a membership basis.
I mean, it's for judges, right? That's the only thing that we would be doing it for, or if something came up and the members needed to vote on it.
Yeah. So if we do another election like we had a couple of years ago, or if we're doing any selections of judges or any kind of balloting for bylaws, things like that.
Yeah. except that we're not allowed to do board elections. We have to keep that in mind
Okay.
because of the Connecticut thing.
Okay, now that sounds reasonable.
Paul, it's
Yeah.
Pam.
Yes, hi. Pam. See, I
So
see.
what you're saying is the only voting that we cannot do electronically is for the board positions. Is
Correct.
that correct?
Yes. Board and officers.
Well, the
So
officers.
we'll have to
so
maintain a paper ballot.
So my question is, why in heaven's name would we want to spend all the time and effort and stuff when we practically have to beg people to run? I really think it's, as long as we can do it for things like bylaws and judges and things like that, I see no reason to change the articles of incorporation in place. My
Right.
first,
We were. Cameron was.
I agree.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So let's put this to bed then. Let's have a motion just to, do we have to have a motion? Let's have a motion to keep the electronic voting for those purposes that it's appropriate, and for board elections is strictly a paper ballot.
I move that we remain as we are with board positions voted on paper ballots and everything else done electronically.
I'll second.
Second by Karen Mancini.
Yeah.
Additional comments, anybody? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Okay, well, that's what we're going to do from this point forward. All right, 2024 National Specialty Judge Terry Stacy was elected to judge the 2020 I should say 4. National Specialty with Azalea Alvarez as the alternate. So change that to 2024. I don't know why I put 2025. Okay. The next one. Any comments on that? Okay, next one. 2025 National Specialty Judge. The judge elected was Jackie Stacy. She was elected as the judge for 2025 National Specialty with Pam Pete as the alternate and John Constantine as the second alternate. Update on the 2025 National Specialty. There will be a supported entry on, I don't know the date. I don't know if it's a Friday. I don't know if it's the Saturday or the Thursday. I think it's the Saturday. So whatever that date is, that's the supported entry. Concurrent will be on 4/12. That's a Friday. And the ACA Nationals is on a Sunday the 14th. So let me explain the concurrent here. Concurrent has been done in the past, apparently some time ago, but this particular club that's having us coming in is going to pay us $350 to cover our expenses for concurrent. So they will pay for our judge. So we don't have to worry about that. We will use their judge. They will take care of it. And according to Sally, she has all the stuff in place to handle the concurrent. So unless there's some other kind of change or there's some objection, since this is all in place, I suggest we just go ahead with it. And there should be no additional cost to the ACA.
Cameron, I have a question.
Sure, Donna, go ahead.
Where are you reading from? I am lost.
Oh, I am reading on the agenda. It's down past the ad hoc committees. It's on the 1, 2, 3. It's on the third bullet point.
I was lost too, but I see where you are now.
Okay,
It
no.
says
I'm still lost. Wait a
2025. He
minute.
said to change to 2024 before he started.
Right.
I was
No,
thinking
wait a
you were
minute.
reading
I'm
from
still
your,
lost.
I thought you were in your old business and new business. You're on your ad hoc committees.
I see
Right.
see ad hoc committees and then specialty manual, standing rules.
Oh, honey, you got the wrong one.
What?
Yeah, I sent out another one.
Oops, my bad.
No, you're not on the wrong one, Donna. In the updated agenda that he sent out, it's under ad hoc committees. It's not, he's not reading from the old business or the new business.
Okay.
Right. Do you find it, Donna?
No, but that's okay. I'm having issues today. Okay, okay. Okay, in the 2024 else so Terry Stacy has backed out of the 2024?
No,
No, not at all.
So then why
But
does it
yeah.
say
Then-
Alzea? And then I'm lost. Why does it say Alzea? Azalea will be the judge in lieu of Terry.
I,
as the
It
alternate.
doesn't say that. It
I
says that she's
recorded-
the alternate.
I recorded wrong.
Oh, it's the alternate.
Yes.
So Azalea is replacing Helen.
No,
Fine. Because wasn't she the
Well,
alternate?
as an alternate, yes. It was reported Helen was going to do it, but
Oh,
she
yeah,
has an
yeah.
assignment somewhere else.
And
Okay, gotcha. I'm with you.
this is Pam again. The issue comes up because the judges were not contacted till just recently. And so Helen was unaware she was the alternate and has
Oh.
another assignment.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's how this occurred.
Okay,
Now, I don't know who's responsible for that. I believe it was Sally and her team, but I was not happy when that happened. But,
Okay.
it's done. She has an assignment. She wished she could have done it, but she does have an assignment somewhere else.
okay. Okay,
And
thank you.
obviously doesn't mean she would have gotten it, but if Terry was going to be unable to do it, she would have loved to have done it.
Yeah,
Cameron,
Yeah.
this goes into the judges selection process. And when we get down to the situation where we have a finite number, whether it's 3 or 5 or whatever, at that point, most national specialties will contact those particular people and say, this is the date, this is the location, this is the compensation. Are you available and are you willing? Not that you have been selected, but are you willing, if you are selected, to do that?
Right.
And
That was supposed to have
been done.
happened. That was supposed to have happened. But like you say, it did not happen for whatever reason.
Right.
Okay. Let's go down to the specialty manual. The specialty manual is still something we need to work on. So the position needs someone to work with the board to maintain the specialty manual as a living document. There's a lot of things that need to be changed in that manual. And part of it may be even to be looking at the AKC manual that they have out there on what to do next and next and next. It's going to take some people that have been through this, that knows what they're doing, to actually work on that manual. It's a lot. So I know we don't have anybody raising their hand, but it's out there. It's not going to go anywhere until somebody gets together. We need 2 or 3 people that really have experience to work on that. Standing rules are still being done by Doug Wolf, as you all know, that he initially said he wouldn't really have that together until probably October. Doug is very busy. It may take him a bit longer, but last report is Doug is finding things, he's putting things together, and I can't wait to see what he has, and it covers maybe some of the stuff that we should be using. So we'll see what happens when that report comes in. Old business. Everybody at old business now, lifetime membership?
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Okay, who was the committee that was formed to work on that?
Myself
Do we know?
and I think Matt, but definitely Joe Acton.
Oh, okay, that's right. Any report?
No.
Okay. I've done some research with other clubs on what they require. Let me see if I can find it right here real quick.
Well, I
And
shouldn't
part of it
say,
is,
no, Cameron, we did do some research on it. And basically you have to have criteria for when you're eligible. What are the criteria to be eligible? Because currently it's the board just grants it to somebody for
Right.
vague descriptions.
right. So what I'm looking at is I'm looking at other clubs are using generally a 25-year membership period to be even considered for the position, and that person has contributed, whatever that means, highly to the fancy of their breed, is popping up with most clubs. So I don't know that we need to have a very strict criteria as far as a number of things. I don't disagree with 25 years. I think you need to be in it to win it. Yeah, and you have to be a current member. You can't just pick somebody out there that's been in Athens, even though they're not a member of ACA. I just don't think that's right. Anybody else have comments?
I think it needs to be, there's kind of two different things. There's the ACA lifetime membership. And then in the past, we've had, quote, honorary members. And I don't think that that's necessary. I think we just need 25 years. And then at 25 years, the board, the name comes up, the board looks at it, and we go from there. I think at 25 years of membership, it should be automatic that it's looked at.
Okay,
There
what I'm
is
gonna-
something on the lifetime membership in on our bylaws, because it says contributions over 20 years or more.
Yep.
Then we just need
Okay.
to, we need to have more criteria to what their what are defining significant contributions.
Right.
Other than just
Right.
the board decides.
Right, I think so. And there needs to be criteria, so somebody, you can check the boxes and say, yes, they fit this, they fit that. And it doesn't become a popularity contest, or just because you've been here 20 years.
Right. Well, I don't have a problem with the 20 years either, even though most clubs are 25. If that's what the club has decided in the past,
Yeah, the
well, then, hey,
bylaws
that's why.
specifically say 20 years.
Correct.
Yeah, then that's what we go with. And I'm going to suggest that Pam, you, Matt, and Joe, and if you can't get Matt and Joe on board to have a meeting and come up with stuff to get this passed at our next meeting, this needs to come off of our agenda at the next meeting. We need to vote on it. We need to finalize that.
Got it.
We can have somebody else join
We
you
can
with
get it.
that.
We'll get it done, Cameron. Don't worry about it. Right, Matt?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So if y'all will do that, anybody else want to help them? Is Joe on? Okay, we'll look forward to that information so we can vote on that at next meeting, okay? All right. Juniors, Paul DuPay, any update, Paul?
A little. I sent out a monkey survey to, well, basically the one junior that we have as a member, to the Skeens and to the girls in South Carolina. Not to them directly, of course, to their parents.
Right.
Morgan Skeen is the only person who responded to the survey. She also responded with an email subsequent to that response. And she has a lot of good ideas, nice ideas, things that other clubs are doing also. And I think we should probably look at them. I was trying to give the other people a little bit of time to respond, but I don't think, I've tried enough with Janet Rand's
Yes, grandchildren.
at this point, and haven't gotten anything back. I've
Okay,
reached
they're
out
waiting.
through different ways.
I've been talking to them as well, and now they're waiting for an application, so they will be joining. They will
Okay.
be filling it out. Do you want those, do those come to you or those go to Donna? They must go to Donna, right?
What
They-
membership? Me?
Yeah, it'd be membership, it'd be Donna then. And
Yes.
then Donna can get with you, Paul, and let you know when she receives it, so you can be prepared to, put them on your
Yeah,
list.
chat again, yeah.
Yeah,
One thing I
okay.
just wanted to talk about was, I mean, this doesn't necessarily have to be a chair that I have to hold. If there was, I think it would be perhaps a better idea if one of the parents, or of course a member, took on this, because they're dealing with their kids and with the juniors more than I would be. But I'll continue to do it for now. And maybe it's something we should think about. Morgan had some great ideas, and I really do not want to send a message to the members. You give some input, and all of a sudden you're getting a job. I don't want
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I don't want anyone to feel that. So I'll continue with it, and I think it's a good idea, like you just said, Cameron, to wait and see about the kids, Janet's grandkids, because they are definitely involved, and it's a shame they didn't, respond, because
Yeah, well,
I value their input.
it's kind of my fault on that, because they have gotten with me recently even and said that they're definitely interested in joining. The grandkids are wanting to go to Westminster. They need to be a member of a club and be a junior. And of course, they show Affenpincher, so this is the best place for them. And so they will be sending that in. So I'll be supporting them on that, and anybody else would be fine. Paul, I think that perhaps you would be a good contact person, even if you turn it over to a parent, that yet they have contact with the board, that they can get a hold of you and then, bounce things off of you and
Sure.
then bring it to the board if you need to.
Yep. I will.
Okay.
We'll keep it as is now anyway. But
Yeah.
down the road, I think that might be the way to go.
Okay, very good. All right, read cards to judges. We've already discussed that. We'll get more information done and we'll get it over to you once we get it put together, and you can get a quote
Okay.
on it.
I will.
Obviously, we need 2 or 3 quotes to get it printed. I think that's the best thing. I don't have any contacts personally, but if anybody does, that would be great. I don't. The next item is increase allocation of funds for Affenpincher Club of America National Specialties. I believe that Sheila can update us on a little bit of what it costs now to run a specialty, and her suggestion on where we should go with that.
You all received reports specific to the specialty as to expenses and income and so on and so forth. It's obvious that the $500 per check limit that was set years ago when the Wells Fargo account was open is really out of date right now. I cannot write anything over a $500 check without a second signatory on that check, which delays payment. The only other option I have and have used is the electronic payments to people who are set up to receive them. And that's really a much better way to go. I could do it rapidly and get people repaid. However, our $1,000 limit to put on a show is really a little bit low, as you can see from some of the expenditures that have gone out. I would like to recommend that we increase that. However, I am also recommending that there is no cash advance, that these people who are expecting to have outlays of money either have the vendor send me an invoice directly, or if they're paying it, they send that invoice to me as soon as they get it, and I pay that thing in rather than put cash outlays. I have found through the past 4 years or so of treasurer and starting into this year that receipts are not always forthcoming when money is spent and people want reimbursement for it. It's kind of hard to sometimes get a hold of these invoices that will substantiate what was advanced to them. So I'm not in favor of a cash advance, but I am in favor of upping our limit as to what they can spend. $200 for a welcome party is pretty darn cheap. We've kept Kathy to a $200 limit on ringside and banners and all the lovely stuff that she puts together. That's cheap. There's a lot of stuff really that we are well underpricing our committee chairs on, and it's hard for them to operate and put on a good show.
Sheila, based on recent years, what would be a reasonable cap to raise the $500 limit to in your experience in the past 4 years?
As far as Wells Fargo and writing checks,
No,
Or for the specialty?
for the
or
advance.
as far as what committee chairs should do, I'm thinking that, what, go ahead.
Kevin,
I'm
I think you're
confused. Are we
two
talking
different
about you're
things.
being able to write checks or advances or the limit, the budget for a specialty?
Both.
My question
Yeah.
is to do with the raising. So let me rephrase it. As far as making a motion for adjusting the limit for the national specialty, if you were to make a recommendation based on the 4 most recent years, if not 500, what would be reasonable?
I'm going between 1,500 and 2,000. The problem I have is that you have several different people in charge. You have a trophy chair, you might have someone in charge of t-shirts for the resales. The problem is they need to coordinate through the show chair. We don't have the protocols really set in place for who gets to spend how much of the allotted amount, whatever that allotted amount becomes. So I have to keep track of that very carefully and let people know, or the chair know, you're coming very close to being over budget and you need to either halt it or tell me how you've raised money so far to pay for it. The promise of
Right.
I'll raise money in the future to pay for it is very nebulous as far as I'm concerned. So I would say 1,500 and 2,000 would be max. If you notice the budget this year, we only made $1,100. So we didn't really cover what a $1,500 budget limit would be without going in the hole if they spent the full amount over that. So it's a tight call right now, and it calls for a little bit better financial control on the part of the show chairman or
Exactly.
co-chairman themselves.
Because shouldn't the show chair be like, if you give them a budget of $2,000, you give them criteria what that covers, then they allocate that $2,000 to their committee chairs to say, you get this, you get that, and then they're should be responsible for financial control of who spends what. Correct?
Technically, that's how it should work.
Well, then the onus is on us to make sure that the show chair knows that, because it would give them some freedom, I think, to be able to control how they're spending that money rather than coming back and saying, board, may I? Or coming to
Exactly.
people and going, how much money do I have left?
Right, exactly. And with the accounting up to date now and continuing to be so, they can get an up-to-date report as to what bills have been submitted and paid in what categories right off the bat. But, you need to have cooperation between your show chair and your treasurer, whoever that might be.
Right.
Keep it
So
under control.
I have another question. So does that $2,000 also, that includes that what $1,000 we now allocate for trophies?
Yeah.
Okay, so they have $1,000 above trophy. Well, they have $2,000, and how they want to spend it is up to them.
Yes.
True. So wiping out that you get $1,000 for trophies, you get $2,000, which includes everything.
Yes, that would be it.
That money doesn't have to be used for trophies necessarily, because you can
Exactly.
raise money specifically for the trophies.
Right.
And
Gotcha.
use the seed money of the 2,000 for your
Something else.
fundraising and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be, it should be turned over to the show chair and their committee, and they manage the money and, you know, report back to the treasurer. And work in conjunction with the treasurer to make sure that things get paid and, you know, all that. Because that would give them, I think, more freedom.
It would definitely give them more freedom, but if they knew exactly how much money they've spent so far and can also track through the
Yeah.
accounting, how much
Right.
money they've brought in through shirt sales or
Right.
through trophy pledges, etc. They
And that's
should be
on
able to
them.
control their budget,
Yeah.
but
They just
Right.
need to
Doing
work
it-
with the treasurer, like you said, have a good relationship with the treasurer and work it out, because it shouldn't be that hard.
right.
Famous last words.
Exactly.
Well, I think the bottom, that is true. But the bottom line is that for the $1,000, we know it's not possible to do the things you need to do, such as the fundraising, such as the shirts, such as, you know, the decorations, the welcome party, that kind of stuff. That adds up very, very, very quickly. And we're not even talking about trophies. And for those people that have used, for instance, what Kathy and I did is we used the trophies as a sponsorship, and we offered it out to all the members to sponsor whatever trophy you wanted to do. You're the best of breed, the
Right.
best opposite sex, that kind of
Okay.
thing. People are going to support that, so you're going to get that money for the trophies. So that can be set aside, and
Well,
you know that you're going to get that
Yeah. They can
sponsorship
raise,
from the
well,
members.
see, then you say to the chair and the committee, you can raise whatever money you want to raise and spend it the way you want to spend it, as long as it goes for specialty. I mean, they can, you know, you could sponsor you could have somebody sponsor the hospitality. I mean, there are, you think about it, you could, you know, I don't know, you could probably get, you know, yeah, it would be interesting to say.
I think it should be left to the imagination of the show committee, how they're going to
Exactly.
garner their support.
Absolutely.
But the
But-
thing that concerns me is there is a lot of upfront expenditures before any fundraising is started. We're only, what, 8 months maybe? Prior to the next national. And there's no fundraising other than the shirts that were sold and the trophy pledges. Some were paid, some were simply pledged.
And I
And-
wonder why they haven't done that.
Well, that's,
Funds.
yeah, but I'm saying,
Simply-
you know,
simply
that's
funds.
why I'm saying that you need to keep a tight rein on that 2,000 until you start seeing money coming in from whatever fundraisers they've planned as well.
I see it as being a case that $2,000 are practically none of that money should have to be spent on trophies. If the
Exactly.
pledge thing is sent out a lot earlier than it's been done. I mean, Sheila, I didn't see anything to ask people to pledge for the specialty. If I had, I would have. So did they send something out already?
It was not done for Syracuse.
No, I'm talking
Yeah.
about Atlanta.
24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
hasn't
was a
gone
book that you could sign up, but she did not
Oh.
want to do any passing around until the 23 specialty was concluded. So it didn't get brought out until Sunday's show.
Okay. I didn't get a chance to see it, but what it should be, well, this is what the Tibetan Terrier Club do. Almost a year in advance of our national, in the newsletter, they print a list of the trophy asks, and people like Cameron just alluded to do respond, because everyone wants to be giving the trophy for best of breed or winner's bitch or select or whatever, you know, and people want to get their money in there quickly. So I think that's one of the things that I don't see them doing. Our club does.
Well, the thing is
just this
that I
particular
do
group.
believe they have it, while they do have it together, it's not on the website, as I understand it. It needs to be on the website with
Yes.
a play button. And so
There's
that
nothing
needs
on the
to happen.
website.
Well,
Yeah, so that
I
needs
think
to
the
happen.
problem-
Newsletter.
The problem is that somehow or another, this group of people that have had specialties before and are supposed to be advising the next year's specialty haven't really communicated that you need to give Sherry exactly what you want written down and publicized. She does not make this stuff up out of her head. She needs your facts written down, how you want it said,
Hmm.
and who you want it sent to. And that was
Right.
either not communicated or not followed through on. But I agree with Paul, we should start earlier, and if we
Yes.
can get going now on 24, then we can follow that up with 25 fairly rapidly,
Yep.
once 25
I-
is organized.
I
So,
believe that
yeah,
with Rhonda,
we
I've had
should
it-
be getting up. But what you all don't think about is the fact that these clubs where we have supported entries and so on, they can supply a lot of your ribbons other than your top ribbons. And that's where people need to shop around and not go crazy on the ribbons for trophies. You can do quite a bit of nice stuff for the $1,000 and still do some decent ribbons besides without going crazy with 4-foot long streamers and the whole bit. It just needs some thinking ahead, and that's sometimes not getting done.
Okay.
Yeah, so anyway, great point. I believe that Rhonda has that information ready to go. We just need to get it on the website. So Rhonda, through Sherry, through somebody, needs to get that up and the button active and start advertising that stuff. So it needs to be, I think she has it ready for the newsletter, I think, is what we talked about. Now, I do know initially that they had some wrong figures, and the stuff that I've already paid, Sheila, I don't know if you were told that I owe more money because they've changed the figures, but I think I owe you like $30 more or something. I just don't know what that figure is.
Interesting, because I just asked Rhonda for a list of the trophies and you paid what she listed on there. So I will have to get with her
Right.
again and see what's up.
Yeah, I understood it changed, but again, I don't know to what. And so we need to get on that, like you say, ASAP, get that going and get that on the website and get those funds coming in, because I know that people will support it, but they're not going to support it at the last minute.
Okay, so I have another question. Whose responsibility is to make sure that that gets on the website and et cetera, et cetera?
I think
Well, the responsibility, as I understand it now, is Sherry, but we need to get with Sherry.
So
And
does
like
Sherry already,
Sheila
so
said.
Sherry already has all the information and she's just gonna put it in the newsletter. It's been sent?
I don't know what she
Okay.
has exactly.
Okay, so it's not
Yeah,
on
I don't know.
Sherry, because Sherry only does it if you send it to her.
Right.
Right.
Did Sally, do we have a report from Sally about where they are on the 2024?
We did not get a report from Sally.
Okay,
Cameron, did she talk to you?
Yeah. I called her, but I haven't been able to get a hold of her. Her phone is full. For those of you who don't know, her husband is in a state of last days. So she's swamped with that right now. So,
That's
dealing with
actually her fiance. It's not her husband, Cameron.
Oh, okay.
But she does have all the information ready.
okay.
That's what I understand. Yes.
I think what we have here is, pardon my pun, a failure to communicate, because there's a lot of pieces and everybody doesn't know which piece goes where and whose responsibility is what. And there is no direction that by this date, this needs to be up, and by this date, this needs to be done, or whether it's, 6 months before the date of the show, these are the things that
Yeah.
must be
There's
done.
no timeline?
None.
And we do have to support, we do have to support our show chairs because that information should be up there and we know that.
But if they don't know what is needed or the timeline for that, we can't very well expect them to do it. And that's what I'm hearing and have heard from Sandra and Sally and Rhonda and even Joe, actually, that there is no timeline, that this needs to be in. And it
So what does
varies.
the specialty manual say?
Yeah, it probably doesn't say anything.
Mm.
Well, and the other problem is, we have to know what kind of a show is it? Is it independent? Is it concurrent? Do we have this? Do we have that? And I think that's part of the problem.
Well, I think she's got that ironed out. So
Yeah.
we just need to get that on the website.
Right. But
Okay.
you can't
So let's
very
get back
well
to this.
quote fundraise if you can't even say that this is the date of this and this is the date of that. So I think as a board, we need to firm up what are we doing in 24. And then as a board, we need to figure out what we're doing in 25 too, because it isn't that far off. So I
So
think,
one specialty at a time here.
yes, we
Yeah.
need a time, we need a timeline for things, which we don't have.
Which we don't have. Yeah.
Before
I agree
we,
with you.
So again, my question is so the specialty book that we had there's no timeline, there's no nothing?
Who has the specialty book?
okay, let me.
They were given the manual when this started, so was Sandra Lex given the manual. And the manual doesn't suggest months, weeks, whatever, specific, but it does, put it in a timeline as to when things need to be getting done and what stuff needs to go out there. And there is an addendum that could be put in there that does have a timeline. It came from Kathy Timko. Everybody could be able to download and read it. So
Okay.
that could be added to the manual. But they did get the manual, and the manual does state kind of a when you do what type thing.
Okay,
Okay, that's good. Well,
Yeah,
all right. We just need someone to
improve on it.
manage the chairs.
Can I interject here?
Yes, you may.
So we were talking about the increase in the allocation of funds.
Yes, sorry.
Right, let's get back to that and let's
Yes,
talk about,
sorry.
what are we gonna do? We need a motion to increase
would
the
like-
allocation of funds.
I would like to move that we increase the allocation of funds to $2,000 with the condition that the show chair or specialty chair be required to submit invoices and receipts to the treasurer for payment of those expenses rather than being advanced any funds.
Or deposits and that kind of thing.
I have a question. I guess we vote on that. first.
you have to have a second first.
We have a motion on the floor, so we have to have a second.
I will second
second.
that.
Who was the
I
second?
don't know.
Karen,
Karen.
And I
Okay,
have a
go ahead,
question.
Donna.
Okay, so getting invoices. Okay, I go out and I want to purchase something and okay, in the past, Sheila, has there been any problem with show chairs being able to get product, lack of a better word, from a vendor that they want to provide for the specialty? Because they have to, they can't be paid directly by the show chair. They have to send you an invoice, like, or what is it called? We used to, a requisition kind of for payment. Does that make sense?
It makes total
So the
sense.
show chair
And I
either
can,
has to front the money or find a vendor that's willing to work with the treasurer, correct?
that would be correct. And then the
Okay.
last two specialties, Joe's specialty and Sandra's specialty, the majority of the funds that were paid out were paid directly to vendors when I received their payment information and contacted them
Okay,
as
okay.
to how they wanted to receive it.
So it's
So
pretty
it's-
fast.
It's fast and it has
Okay.
not been a major problem in the past. And if it does become a problem, I think all that the show chair would need to do is to just notify me that this isn't going to happen and she's got to make a payment immediately upon ordering,
Okay.
at which point we'll get it done.
Okay, okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other discussion?
I have, well, one thing, but I'm on board with the increase and all of that. As far as, well, just so I'm understanding correctly, how it's been done before is that the show chair, whoever would say how much money they needed and then they were given the money to then spend. Is that how we did it before?
How
I
we
don't
did it,
think so.
Matt, is they would have something specific that they wanted to purchase. Let's say the shadow boxes that were done for the top wins at this year's national. She got an invoice from the person supplying the shadow boxes, and that invoice was emailed as an attachment to me, and I sent the check out. Well, actually, I sent it out as a PayPal payment, and it got done right away. That's
Okay.
worked very well in the past, doing it that way. Occasionally you find things that it's easier for, let's say, the trophy chair, as in this year where she was buying the wooden pieces that were then going to get painted. Those wooden pieces she found at a discount store and paid for them. Trophy chair did, paid for them herself.
Got it.
Brought the receipt home, took a picture of it, submitted to me, and a check went in the mail to her. So the reimbursement can happen quite fast too, as long as those receipts get submitted to me, so I know what I'm reimbursing for. But we've had a very good mix of both ways, directly to a vendor and immediately to an out-of-pocket person when an invoice comes my way. And, you know, as you well know, not last 2 months, but April and May were a little tough for me without a computer and without being here at home. But we're all caught up now and everything's back to being paid when it's submitted.
Sure. So, I mean, this may not be a problem at all. It was just kind of a point that I'll bring up only because I know that it's been the case in like the local Aussie club. I know that there have been people discouraged from volunteering for certain things, like especially like prizes, because they're uncomfortable putting the money out themselves first and asking for reimbursement. I don't know that it's really a problem. I kind of just wanted to bring it up just so it wasn't an oversight. You know, I guess I'm thinking if there was a show chair who you know, was looking at the amount that it's going to cost to put the national on, and they didn't think that they could front all the money.
Well,
they shouldn't. You know, sorry.
They should not be having to front all the money, but my point is that a show chairman needs to know who's spending what money. There should be in kind of control of that. It should be discussed ahead of time how much money is going to be spent for what categories. And then, you know, the point is you don't just send a check for $2,000 to a show chair and say, here, dole it out at will. I want receipts back.
Okay.
Not going to happen.
Okay.
Not on my watch. Not going to happen.
Yeah. No, I understand. No, I think I was just making sure I understood what the changes were. But okay, yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I think we can fix this problem with the raise to 2,000. I think that's a good move. And then, you know, the contact obviously has to be with the treasurer, where that can be sent out, you know, immediately. Obviously, it's got to be, we'll get back to this in just a minute, but I think that part's good. We're going to get back to the fact that Sheila can only write a $500 check. Let's put that on hold for just a minute. We'll get back to it. We'll discuss it. We'll change it, and we'll move forward. And Sheila can describe that again. She did earlier, but she can do that again. She's limited to $500. So we do have a motion on the floor, 2,000. We have a second by Karen Mancini. Any other discussion, or shall we vote?
I
No
called,
other discussion, all. Go ahead, Pam.
I called the question. We have to vote.
Okay. All in favor, raise your hand. Say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion has passed. We have just raised $2,000 and that goes into effect immediately. All right, Sheila, let's get back to the check writing issue and let's get that cleared up.
Most of the time, we don't have a problem. Everything seems to be coming in lower increments. However, we have insurance that's over that amount. Past couple of years, that's been getting paid electronically to the insurance company, which works quite well because that's about an $800 bill. What happens is currently, if I have to write something over $500, I get my signature on it and then I send it to whoever's the second signer on it. Usually it's the president and the treasurer. And then that person has to put a signature on that check before the bank will cash it. Otherwise, it'll get returned as a undeposited check. You can't, they won't accept it when it hits the Wells Fargo bank. So I'm thinking we need to raise that too.
Sheila, was that imposed by Wells Fargo or was it imposed by the club?
That was imposed by the club.
So we can change that amount or we can remove it completely?
We can do whatever we want to do. I have a copy of a formal type resolution that banks like to see written up in this sort of format for changes of that thing. All we need is a board approval, a date that the board meeting was held and how it was approved, and I translated into this formal legalese wording,
Right.
and take it into
Right.
the bank, and it's a done deed.
Sheila, do
Right.
you want
Who
an
is-
amount on that? This is Pam. Do you want an amount on that or do you want it just removed?
I can throw that out to the board for discussion. I think removing it would be fine, pending who your treasurer is. Most of the time, you've got a pretty involved and reliable person who's not going to write a check for whatever the balance is in the checking account.
Well, if we don't have somebody in the job that we trust, they shouldn't be in the job. I move that we remove the need for a second signature on any checks that the treasurer issues for reimbursement.
I have a problem with
Is
that.
there a second?
I would actually like to amend Pam's motion. But let's hear from Donna first.
Oh, no, you have to vote on it, and then I'll ask a question.
Okay.
Is there a second? That can be overridden, that we got to have a second to continue.
There's no second, it dies.
Okay,
It's dead.
all right, then it's dead. Kevin, go ahead.
So my amendment to Pam's motion would be to remove the requirement for a second signature, period.
That's
That
what
That
I,
was her motion.
Pam's motion was for checks for reimbursements. I would remove this reimbursement part.
Yes, that's true, because some of them are straight out bills that are standard per year.
yes.
That's true.
And I can tell you, banks hate two signature requirements.
Yes,
And as Mr. Pete, who used to work at the FDIC, just issued, it's not enforced. So my motion, as stated, I move that the Board of ACA remove the requirement for two signatories on any checks issued by ACA.
Anything on the amount?
Nope.
You wanted to remain at 500?
No, I want no need for two signatures, period. The treasurer writes the checks for the amounts for reimbursement.
I second.
Okay, now I have a question.
Okay, go
This
ahead,
is
Don.
Donna. Okay, my question is, do we do a financial audit of the treasurer? And if so, who does it?
I would,
Of our books?
I would support a annual financial review to review the bookkeeping. for
No,
any
do we have
anomaly.
one? I mean, this is nothing against Sheila and it's not anything against future treasurers. However, we do have a lot of money in the bank. I mean, you know, and just in case and good prudent business practices, do we audit our financial, do we audit our treasury?
We
And
have
if so-
not asked, we should do so.
Okay, so that's.
I would make a suggestion on this. The museum handles a heck of a lot more money than what we ever have in the bank.
Okay,
And they do not do a professional audit simply because those things run 7,000 to 10,000.
Exactly.
3 years of that and we're in the hole. But what we do is have a member, board member, whatever you want to choose, goes over the bookkeeping information from the treasurer. It gets submitted at the close of a business year, a fiscal year. And then in the case of the museum, it takes 3 members to do it because there's so many receipts involved. It would only take one of our members or board members to do this and goes through and then makes a report back to the board as to what was found.
For the
Isn't that
Spanish
Sheila-
Council Club of America, which I'm the treasurer of for the past 2 years, we make sure that we are very clear in the terminology. We do a financial review, not an audit, because of those
Okay.
reasons you laid out, Sheila.
Exactly.
An audit's very expensive. We don't want to do that.
Okay.
Financial review is a review of the bank statements and the receipts, and we're looking for anomalies. We're looking for anything that wasn't authorized or anything that looks funny, like
Okay.
Kevin took
Sounds good.
$5,000 and we don't know where he used it. Things like that. So a financial review conducted by members of the board or a club member, people who are, have some experience and that kind of thing, but they don't have to be a professional CPA, for example. We just want to review the books, make sure there's nothing that looks fishy.
Very good. Yeah, we need to,
Okay.
I mean, I would, somewhere down the line, we need to make a motion that we do that. We need to enter that so that we get that done. And then I would agree to.
I totally
removing the-
agree that we need to start doing that, and especially if you're removing the
Yes.
requirement for 2 signatures on large checks. Right now with the QuickBooks accounting, it's very easy enough to turn in a report on detailed expenditures per month, and I separate everything by month. And you just go through there and you look for what was spent, and where it came from, where it went to. And it's all laid out very clear, black and white, no problem.
I think
And
we
even
need,
now, Sheila, you don't have 2 people to sign a check, do you? It's just you.
no, for
I've
500.
I've been skirting that by doing these electronic transfers of funds, which are not
Right.
technically checks. But if the bank sees a
Right.
check over 500, as in the past, now Dave may be right, they don't even bother to look, but in the past, I was very adamant about getting a second signature, as was Lisa when
Yeah.
she had to write a check, and it would come to me and then I'd have to send it back out to whoever the check went to.
Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
a bit of a pain and a delay in payment.
I think we have a motion on the floor at this point.
We do.
Question for Sheila. Sheila, the account is, it's an electronic account, right?
We can pay electronically either through PayPal reimbursement, or we can pay, we can put deposits, check deposits in electronically. We have electronic capabilities to do quite a few different types of payments as well as write checks, but not
Sorry, I
everybody.
said that wrong. I
is-
meant like it's with the bank, it's online banking.
Yes, we can do online banking.
Okay, do you?
I still have paper statements required to be sent to me because I want them for the
Yeah,
records. But yes, I do a lot of online banking,
okay, well.
and they're set up for it. Our account is set up for it.
Well, I was thinking that since we do online banking, then that, you know, we can kind of avoid all this second signature stuff anyway, and just having some oversight also, though, by having a second person like the president or whatever, getting a copy of the monthly, what do they call the thing?
No,
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 you
I
still
don't
need
think you
to
need to
have
do
a
it monthly.
financial review.
Yeah.
No,
end of
or
the
no,
year.
I don't think we need to be that picky. I just think it needs to be a financial review annually.
I think there are two, this is Pam, I think there are two issues. One, we need to remove the $500 restriction for the bank,
Yes.
which is what we're dealing with now. That's one issue. The other issue is, I think, as the club and as the board, we have a fiduciary responsibility. That means that we as a club and us as the board need to know that things are being taken care of appropriately. And that means what usually is done is there is a financial review, not an audit, costs too
Right.
much and unnecessary, usually of 3 members, a board member, and 2 other people, or at least a board member and a non-board member, review the books on an annual basis. You don't need to do it every month or anything, but on an annual basis. And as a treasurer, it protects the current treasurer, it protects the board, it protects the previous treasurer, and it protects the incoming treasurer. Because I can tell you, David took over and it was a real mess, not because anybody had cheated or taken funds or anything, simply because they kept crappy records. So what I would like to see us do as a board, 1, vote on the motion to remove the $500 restriction for payments and checks. And then 2, put in place a financial review committee to annually or every other year, however we want to do it,
Annually.
review the books. 2 separate things.
Correct. I agree. There should be 2
Okay,
motions.
Kevin's working on that motion right now.
Well, there's one motion already out there that needs to be voted on.
Correct. I call the question on the motion of the $500.
And that's duplicate. It's also 2 signatures, correct? Or did the 500 take care of it?
That's a separate thing.
So the
No, it's-
motion on the floor is
You
to
want to
remove-
remove the 2 signature requirement and we want to remove the $500.
the motion on the floor is to remove a requirement to have a second signature on any checks of any amount by ACA. Motion made by Pam Pete and seconded by Kevin Holmes.
Ah,
That'll cover it.
no, will that
Okay.
cover the $500
Of any amount.
Yes.
of any amount? Okay.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay,
Any
so I have another
opposed?
question.
Any,
I have another question. Do we need to notify Wells Fargo that we don't have the $500 restriction anymore?
Yes,
Yes.
we do.
Okay,
I'm
Pam-
going, I'm
Pam
going
Pam went
in,
over that.
yeah,
Sheila
yeah.
get a copy of the
Sheila went
minutes
over
and take it to the bank and that takes care of it.
yeah,
yes.
yes, very good.
Yeah. Okay,
So-
all right.
Were there any
Moving on.
objections? No's, abstentions?
There were no objections. It's approved.
All right, so the
Now we
can
next,
talk
the
about the
next motion is the
Financial review.
Establish a requirement. What's the motion, Pam?
I move that we have an,
Annual financial review.
yes, Donna moves that, and I second it.
Okay, review consisting of, very good.
I think 2 members, a board member and a non-board member is all you need.
Yeah, 1 board member and 1 non-member.
Yep,
at least one non-board member, yes,
that's enough.
who will review the treasurer's.
Where are they reviewing
Yes.
for? Are they
Bank
reviewing
statements.
That's it.
for,
Accounting, whatever, you just want to make sure that everything's in order.
Fake statements, invoices, and payouts. That's a
Yes.
match.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh, I need to include PayPal too. Treasurer's reports.
you
Uh,
review the financial statements that were submitted, the
and
financial.
other, and
submitted.
there's more than just PayPal, isn't there now? There's other methods of,
Venmo and all kinds of stuff.
all online payments or whatever.
Just say digital.
Yeah, digital methods of payment.
Accounting-based statements and payouts.
For consistency,
And accuracy.
accuracy. So the motion is establish an annual financial review consisting of one board member and at least one non-board member who will review the treasurer's reports, digital accounting, bank statements and payouts for consistency and accuracy.
Yeah,
Motion made by Donna,
yes.
Seconded by Pam.
No more discussion? Don't hear any,
I
all in
do have-
favor?
Well,
Yeah,
I do
go
have
ahead.
one thing. I'm thinking about, this is just from a practical standpoint. Surely we can strong arm a board member into doing this, but do we really think that every year we'll be able to rope a non-board member into wanting
Yes.
to do this?
Yes,
Yeah,
Okay,
No.
yes.
yes.
okay.
we'll
We're
get
gonna
it.
try, if
Michelle.
not,
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Okay. Next item on the agenda is provide fund for website design if needed. I don't know that we have our website people having meetings and talking and that kind of thing yet. Who's on that committee? That was Sherry. That was, thought it was
Committee,
Doug, but I don't think
Mary,
it was.
Matt, and Raoul.
Say that again?
It says here Sherry, Matt, and Raoul are working on the website.
Sherry, Matt, and Ron.
The last call, we talked about this a little bit, but I don't remember it leaving it that we were talking about any kind of fund. I thought our last conversation was that, well, I'll speak for myself. I don't have enough information for what we need and how it's already set up. And I thought that's kind of how it was left at the last meeting.
So you haven't been able to have a meeting with you and Sherry and Raoul together?
We've never actually had a meeting. We've communicated
Okay.
through email. And that was when I had emailed out to the different whatever you want to call them, web developer providers, whatever they are,
Right.
for quotes, which I got them. But when I received them, they needed more information from me than I really had to give them. As far as how much of an overhaul they're doing, what our website current website would be capable of, I guess, incorporating as far as like the e-commerce. And I haven't heard from, I guess, the other two.
Yeah, we've got to get Sherry involved on that because she's the one that does it. So we need to know what the capabilities are. Okay, so that's something we've got to work on. Let's move down to publicity person. Anybody here, of anybody out there that wants to do that job? We need publicity, somebody to write articles for us, somebody to help review the newsletter. right now, I'll tell you that, I'm doing it and Sheila has, volunteered to help me do that, to make sure that we don't have stuff
Cameron.
printed the way that we don't want it printed and going out.
Cameron, the last time we
Yeah.
met, Lisa Waring was listed as the publicity person. Potentially, someone was supposed to follow up with her.
We were gonna wait till she was a member. She's a member now, and I don't know that anybody's followed up with her. I'll do that. Let me put that down for me.
So this is something I could do. I've written articles. They're breed standardy or genetics related, because I went to grad school for genetics for the Aussie Journal, which is like our bi-monthly magazine. I could do it. But I could do it if I was given what kind of things I need to do, because that's
Right, job
like,
description.
if I was given a topic, I could easily pump something out, but I would just need to know exactly what people were looking for. Because the problem I guess I had when I was doing this before is I wouldn't want to write anything that included opinion, and I wouldn't want to read somebody else's that included really an opinion. So if I had topics or whatever, I could certainly do something like this.
Matt, what I have done before for Canine Chronicle is I wrote an article based strictly on the Affenpinscher and color, since we're one of the few countries in the world that accepts color. So, and that's
Sure.
all it talked about was color. Another was written about genetics and how important it is to look at genetics before you breed. I mean, specific
Sure.
like that. Or most
Yeah.
recently, the Canine Chronicle had asked, and I'm not sure what Jackie Stacy did, but she did something as well. Most recently, they asked for something on the Affenpinscher to go into their magazine just to promote the breed, and we didn't have anybody that could get to it. So that's the kind of things that I think they're looking for.
Sure. I mean, I certainly could. I don't really know what people would want to read about, or not. I mean, like the color thing is a great idea. I just don't know what topics to cover. But if I was given what topic to cover, I certainly could do it.
So
Okay.
Matt, like, for instance, when we get a request from Canine Chronicle, any magazine, then you could be the person, if they're asking specifically for something, we could contact
I'd be
you
happy
and
to do
say, would you do this? Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And
No, I
then
could absolutely do it.
maybe-
Yeah.
And then maybe as point of interest for the newsletter, sometimes saying if there's an issue or something, or not a topic that's of interest, we could say, Matt, think you could write
Yeah.
something
No,
up
I
about
would be.
this?
Yeah, I would be more than happy. Really.
Okay.
So for instance, Matt, publicity and reviewing the newsletter with myself and Sheila. I don't know if Sheila wants to stay on board with that or not, but for now she's volunteered. We want to make sure that something doesn't come out that's really negative. It isn't pinpointing something at any particular person, like happened
Totally.
kind of last time, and that kind of thing. We want to make sure that things are written in a manner, and there hasn't really been any checks and balances on that, but written in a manner
Yeah.
that doesn't point anybody out specifically. You may talk about the breed as a judge. You may talk about the pluses and the minuses of the breed as a judge, but not an individual.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
whether it's
And I mean,
appropriate, yeah.
because all I have is sorry, what was that?
Was that
I was
Donna?
going to say all I have is my word about it, but I mean, I'm not that. I'm very cognizant of not doing things like that. So yeah, I
Right.
totally get it.
Okay, cool. So we've got Matt, myself, and Sheila, at least to review the newsletter.
So Matt, so
And-
does that mean that Matt's gonna be the person, the publicity person?
Yes.
Yay!
Yes, that's what it means.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
Cameron, you
Yeah.
skipped on the election of new members. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't forgotten.
It's supposed to be coming. Don't I have it on here? It'll be under new
New
business.
business, probably.
Yeah, it's not
members.
well,
I'm just
We'll
gonna
get
write
to
it
it.
down at the top. I guess I forgot it. Anyway, okay, we're always looking for
But it's
people
not,
to,
that's why I brought it up.
new members to, well, people to get involved with committees or projects. I just threw that in there. The presentation of the app and pincher is still scheduled in South Carolina. So for those of you, obviously everybody knows now that Jackie Stacy is unable to do her position at the moment. She's had brain surgery for tumors. Her and I have been in contact. I have taken over her position until she comes back, and I am coordinating the judge's education once again at this time. She's very thankful for that and wants to be kept in the loop of what's going on. I told her that I would keep her in the loop and make sure that things are taken care of. So the app and pincher presentation is still scheduled for South Carolina. The total cost of this trip to the ACA is going to be $200. We do have a $500 budget for 2023, and this will be the only expenditure that we'll have for 2023 is $200. No additional expenses will be paid. This is an AKC sanctioned seminar and workshop. This is Stansel. Cindy Stansel is the one that runs that. I've been there. It's very nice. And this will be presented by Pam Peach. She has the ability to go there. She's only asking for partial airline fare, but all other expenses are on her. Any questions, any comments? Okay, very good. Down to the next one. The presentation of the app and pincher is now scheduled for Phoenix, Arizona, 2024, the Arizona Dog Judges Education Incorporated. What they have done is they have contacted Jackie some time ago and asked if we could present app and pinchers in Phoenix. She's obviously not able to do that. And this is an AKC sanctioned seminar and workshop as well, to be presented by myself will be there, Pam Pete will be there, Barry will be there. I'm not sure that Barry's going to be in the room presenting with us, but he'll be there too. The cost to the ACA at that location is $0. Any comments on that?
When in
I will
24
be
is
there.
this?
I'm sorry?
Which of the 24 shows is this in conjunction with?
The February, the desert, what is it? Heart of the Desert?
That's, okay,
Uh,
gotcha. Yeah,
Heart of the
first
Desert,
part of
yeah.
February.
Right. Yeah, I think it's the first weekend. The first weekend. I don't know the date.
It is
exactly.
the first weekend in February.
Yeah. And we're scheduled for 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock on what day, Pam? Do you remember?
Saturday.
Saturday. So we'll be on at 8 o'clock on Saturday. They're very happy to have us. We haven't been there in, well, as long as I can remember. We have not presented at Arizona. Okay, new business. Any other old business? Anybody have any old business that we missed?
Well, we did
How
talk
about-
about, we did discuss at the last meeting about allocating funds to increase for judges ed. I don't know if you want to, in view of what's going on with Jackie, if you want to continue with that discussion and make a proposal to increase those funds, or if you want to wait. I mean,
I think, Paul, we need to just sit on that for now until, we're covered through February, and let's just wait and see how things go forward.
okay.
Let's see, this is July, August, September. Let's table this, Paul, until November.
Okay.
Are we going to
And-
talk about 2025? I had
That-
Kathy,
That was my
Specialty.
question.
because Kathy Timko
2020.
called me yesterday.
Yeah, yes, we need to talk about 2025. Where was it on my notes? I had it somewhere.
It's under old business number 6.
Donna, I accidentally muted you. You'll need to unmute yourself.
I don't see it on mine on old business number 6, but yes, let's do that next. So 2025,
Okay, Kathy called me yesterday. I'll just talk. Kathy called me yesterday because she is heading to San Antonio. They have a major in San Antonio. Anyway, she is going to will talk to Kathy, the show chair there, to see whether or not their club would consider Jackie being part of their panel of judges. And if the answer is yes, then she would ask if something would happen and Jackie could not judge, would they consider Pam? And if the answer is yes, then she would ask if something should happen to Pam, would they consider John? I think that's his name. And if the answer, whatever. And if they say no, then the club, that they say no to Jackie, then our club would be responsible for the judge's cost or whatever.
that is true. And unfortunately, that should have been taken care of by the first, because we were told to get our
I
voting
know,
and stuff
okay,
done.
but unfortunately Kathy got very upset by the email that she received and kind of went off, whatever. So, because being told that she could not show her dogs was a real shock to her, and particularly since her feeling is that she would not be involved with the judge if the judge was going to be part of the host club's panel. They take care of the judge. She wouldn't take care of the judge. She would have no reason.
We understand,
to,
yeah.
Okay. So anyway,
Yeah, we
that
understand
given,
that.
she understands that, and she understands also that if they would not accept Jackie, that and Jackie we would be responsible for that. She understands that she would have to assign the hospitality or whatever to the judge, or be an advocate for the judge, or a judge caretaker that has no interest in showing, if that makes sense. That's a mouthful. Anyway.
Yes, absolutely.
And she said she will communicate what she finds out, and that she's talked to Linda, and that the only thing they ask is that they will proceed with doing San Antonio if we will, given everything I just said, put that in writing to her so that they have some assurance, because they're a little skittish, that if all of this happens in this way, they can show their dogs. And if we ever decide to make that a criteria, that we also ask for membership input, because Kathy's thing was, and I agree with this, is that all of a sudden we come out and say, if you're a show chair and you can't show your dogs or interact with the judge, you can't interact with the judge, or you can't show your dogs to this judge, people aren't going to be really eager to volunteer to be a show chair. I mean, we have such few volunteers, and we're such a small breed and entry that we have to be kind of mindful of what we impose on our membership. Does that make sense? I mean, in other words, just to get their input of how they feel about that before we make a decision.
It begs the question for me, though. What's the motive to be a show chair then?
For what? What do you mean?
Well, if it's a disincentive to be a show chair or specialty chair, if you can't show your dog,
Right.
then what's the motive to be a show chair?
Oh, I would say, I mean, I don't think I'm show chair material, but I mean, well, ask Sheila, well, Joe's not on the line, but I would think to do something for it could be fun. It could be somebody who really likes putting together, organizing, doing something for the club, had a good time in a specialty, wants to do it. Who knows?
So those are
That'd
all
be a
things
good question.
I think
See,
are
that would be a good
rewarding.
question to ask someone. I mean, you should ask your show chairs.
That's
That's
what I
another
think.
point. Ask show
Those-
chairs.
Those are things
they
that I
feel.
think are rewarding about the experience. But what it sounds like to me when someone says, I don't want to be a show chair if I can't show my dog, it sounds like they're looking for an in with a judge so that they can have a better chance of winning.
No,
And
I think,
that should not be a reason to be a show chair.
see, I disagree.
I think that's a
it's-
total, no, that's a total mistaken thought, because
Yeah.
with most of our specialties in the past, and probably quite a few in the future, are going to be designated. You don't even have contact with the judge if you're the show chair. So that's not a motivating factor. You just have to be a glutton for punishment and want to do something for the club.
So
I don't disagree with that at all. From the other piece of it, it's very awkward as a judge to have direct contact with people that are going to be exhibiting with you.
yeah,
The way
That
to
is
get
correct.
around that is somebody else picks the judge
Right.
up or whatever. But something that I just want to throw out here is the designated specialty stuff. I think we need, as a board, I would like to, not necessarily tonight because it's wine time. I would like to see this board address the specialty. When we are classes of, as we are as a designated specialty, we basically have zero control, as Sheila will tell you from Oklahoma. So I would like, as a board, for us to look at how can we have a show that we, meaning the Affenpinscher Club, runs, is responsible for, and in control of. Because right now, we are at the mercy of whatever club we say graciously, gee, would you let us have our show as classes of our breed at your all breed? Sometimes it works well, sometimes it's a disaster. And as has been mentioned, we actually do have some money. And as David put forth to the last board, it doesn't cost significantly more money to have a concurrent and able to have control versus designated with no control. I've said my piece.
Well,
Thank you for listening.
Especially when you can get a judge out there that you want that'll judge for only expenses, no judging fee, because they're happy to do it. That lowers the expense tremendously.
And we'll do it for expenses to a maximum of X. Because trust me, it is an honor for most of us to be asked to judge a national specialty for any breed.
Right.
And any judges that I know are willing to not get reimbursed for every nickel they spend.
Well, I
Right.
can
I'm doing
understand
for
that, and I totally agree with all of that. The easiest way to get around that is to insist that every show have a judge's hospitality chairperson who deals with the judge completely, from contracts to bringing them from the airport, to carrying them around, to giving them lunch, to whatever else is needed. That one person is the one person who doesn't get to show.
Right.
And that's what I brought up initially whenever we talked about the show chair. The show chair, do they want to be the show chair and be in charge of the judges and stuff? Is that the motive? Because we can always find somebody else to take that position, Sheila, just like you said. That doesn't put the show chair in the way of the judge. So
Okay.
to demand that I want to be the show chair and demand, that I want to be in charge of the judges and stuff, there's no reason for that. There's absolutely no reason. You can find, let's take, for instance, I'm going to use Donna. Donna, I hope you don't mind, as an example. Donna, for the most part, does not show. So if there's a show that's coming up that Donna knows she's not going to show, what she can be is the judge's hospitality person and take on the responsibility of what you just said, Sheila. And I think that's the way it
Exactly.
should be done.
Yeah. And there you go back
And
to the show book or a specialty book or whatever, instructions.
Right.
Right. Well, I thought that I made that extremely clear to Kathy, but of course she was in a state that she wasn't listening. I
Right.
made it extremely clear to Kathy that Donna had come up with okay, let's grandfather her because she's, wanting this position to do that. And then again, it's a show that doesn't even involve contact with the judge.
Right.
So, I mean, I get the whole picture, but
Okay.
there's a way to solve all of that. And I agree with Sheila. That's exactly what we need to do. Let's, what I would like to do is I would like to table this discussion at this time to the next meeting on this topic and move on.
Okay,
Okay.
I have one question for that, Cameron.
Sure, go ahead.
How critical, if you table, I guess we'll find out, yeah, might as well table it. Well, maybe we can do it by email. Because depending on because we don't want to wait too long on 2025, because if it doesn't all fall into place, what do we do?
We
We're
are,
only tabling it.
our next
We're
meeting is
tabling
in
it for,
it's in September, and we're looking
Yeah.
for some action out of our show chair for 2025 sooner than September, and they would
Right.
like something in writing from us before then.
Right,
And I asked my question as a devil's advocate, so to speak, because I am actually myself hesitant to want to give that in writing if we're going to be amending our bylaws and not wanting to grandfather in anybody
well,
because we need to make those changes.
actually, so
I-
then what we do is we just don't make any changes whatsoever and it stands as it is. And right now, it's always been just the way, it's business as usual.
But from the
Correct.
other
It's something that,
perspective,
that is not something that belongs in the bylaws.
Right,
That is
And
something
it's-
that belongs in the show manual
Okay.
that gets published on the website.
okay,
right.
so
And
it does
so
need to
it's,
go there.
so now it's just business as usual, like every specialty we've ever done.
So as far as giving them something in writing to make them.
There's no need
help
to
them
it because
feel
we're not
secure.
changing it. We're
But-
not changing it.
so,
We can explain that to her. We're not changing it. There's no reason to even get upset.
So what's the solution for them though, before September?
If they're
yeah, they're
not
not gonna like
go
that.
forward with the board's approval and us saying this is what we're gonna do, then
What are we doing? We're not doing anything.
that's right. I mean,
We're not doing squat. We're just keep on going. Forget we ever had this conversation until we get back to addressing it. And it won't,
I
it
feel
won't
like-
impact 2025.
I feel like they need something that supersedes the email that I sent them or sent to
Yeah.
Kathy, telling her she can't show her dogs.
Yeah, we need to retract that.
I think we can do that. I think that we can send this correspondence out
Okay.
to her saying that this was done. I mean, she obviously didn't take it verbally. Put it in writing that this doesn't and will not apply to her and her show in 2025,
Okay.
period.
Okay,
Now, whether we
Sounds
make other
good.
actions about the future, that's for the future. But up until 2025, anything we decide upon will not be in effect until after 2025.
I would just say it won't affect her. She can show her dog, yeah, whatever.
So Cameron, as the president, would you like to do that?
I'm sorry, would I like to, no, that's that's Paul's duty.
it should
Yeah.
go out from the corresponding secretary.
True.
that
Yeah.
after it was discussed at the board meeting, there will be no further
Action taken.
change. Action taken, right?
There's
Okay.
no change in anything.
Now, whether she buys it or not, I don't know. I don't know.
We'll find
But,
out.
you know, I understand her frustration, but there's no reason because there is nothing in place. She's
I know,
been
it's
told there
just
will be nothing in place
Like
for
I
her.
said, I think
I
they're
will
just
tell,
too
I will
skittish.
tell you, I will tell you that there is, in case that this does not pacify her, there is a potential other option for 25 going forward that is not in place in any way, shape, or form. But if Kathy says no and we don't have it going forward, it doesn't mean there's no show in 25.
Okay.
There's a backup plan.
Just so the board knows, we might as well say, just so the board knows that Oklahoma has contacted us. This is just an example. Oklahoma has contacted us and said that the guy that was in charge before, when Sheila had her train wreck with that idiot, and I told you a long time ago that he was an idiot, he has been fired not only by Oklahoma, but also by Florida. He ran some shows in Florida and is no longer in the picture. They're very, very apologetic. And if we would come back to them, they would be happy to have us. So that's what that's about.
That's all well and good, you know, and I think it's cool to have a backup. As a board, we need to know that.
And
However,
I was also approached by a group that has 3 toy shows and several specialties at a hotel in Oklahoma, and they would like us to join them for that also. So that's another option.
Is that Tulsa? That sounds like Tulsa.
Claremont.
Oh, Claremont. Okay. All right.
I was
let's
just
see.
about to say that I think, first of all, we need to give a member who volunteered to do something a chance to pull it out of the fire and get it done if possible,
That's
before we
abs-
start thinking
correct.
alternatives.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We won't discuss anything until we know we have to go somewhere.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
not why I brought it up, Sheila. I brought it up because we have an alternative, but the best alternative is leaving everything in place and having it going forward in San Antonio.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, so
Okay, guys, we're running out of time, so we need to move on. We need to end this by 7 because we're ending
That's
it
the
by
rule.
7.
Cameron,
That's
let's
the rule.
go over this, please. So this is what I'm sending her, and I don't think it really addresses, because it can, her issue with it going to the members for discussion, which she may still want. But however, I'm going to say there'll be no change to the bylaws.
Well, there's not even in the bylaws, so don't say there's no change in the
Right.
bylaws, because it's
Right.
not a bylaw thing.
It's a policy.
It's a policy.
It's a potential.
And it's not even a policy.
It's a potential policy
Potential.
that we're
So what is
throwing
this?
away.
It's only under discussion.
Yeah, it all happened because she, unfortunately, she had got an email that she and Linda couldn't show their dogs in San Antonio.
Okay.
And so we just need to retract that and say that's not, is not being discussed. It's not a, whatever. There's no
Off-
action going to be
off.
taken.
Able.
Oh,
There's no action being taken on that.
None.
And
yeah. I wouldn't say it's off the table. There's just no action being taken.
Okay.
no action's being
2025.
taken, and in 2025, they can show their dogs.
Okay, so I'm retracting the email sent to you regarding you not being allowed to show your dogs in 2025. If there is a change down the road, it will be effective after January 1st, 2026.
And then I would also put in there that the board will, if there is any action to be taken after 2025, the board will solicit membership input
Yep,
or feedback. And there you go. We're done.
amen.
We're done.
Well,
Okay,
Because we would want membership input. This should not be a board decision only. We need their input. We don't need for them to decide. We just need their input, how they feel about it. If anybody cares.
I think that we can put out, Donna, we can put out the question and see what kind of answer we get back. But I do
Right.
believe it's a board decision.
Well, I
And,
agree.
it's
No,
something-
I agree, Cameron. I'm just saying we're getting the members' feedback and we can look at their feedback and
Right.
take it or not or whatever. I'm just saying we
Right.
put that in the email to Kathy that we will solicit membership feedback on any action we are considering. That's all. Whether
Okay.
yeah. I'm not asking that the membership vote on it. I'm just asking for their feedback.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
But
all
I
right,
think she needs to
that-
understand that.
Yes.
Okay,
This is something that's done by many clubs. And it's for the purpose of the perceived perception.
okay. I know.
I just, know
okay.
it tends to be a larger club than ours that
Yes.
does it. That's my only thought on this.
Okay, but we're tabling it till after, somewhere between now and after 2025.
All right. Okay, new business, Cameron.
Okay, new business. Amend the
Election of new
ACA
members?
bylaws. Yes, new members.
New members,
That's first.
okay. You have the election of the new members of Sarah and Paul. Lord, I will screw up their name. I have no idea how to pronounce
Oh.
that. Haber,
Yeah,
Habriga,
Abriga, I guess.
Habriga?
I
Okay,
guess, Abriga.
Sarah and Paul Habriga. And
Yeah.
they were sponsored by Danny Rosenberry and Lisa Carpenter. They are, as they say, they name themselves pet centric, which I think is really great that they want to be members of the club and they are just pet centric. They fell in love with Affenpinscher. They got an Affenpinscher from unfortunately from a store. Lived a long life, had issues, and then they went for another Affenpinscher. They fell in love with it, and as she said, they simply enjoy the happiness our two Affies have brought to our lives and to our family. And she wants to volunteer, which is great. And both Danny and Lisa were impressed by them. They asked a lot of questions and done their research, and they just want to be part of the Affen world and members of our club. So there you go.
I move we accept their membership.
Second, who's gonna second?
Oh, I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor,
Aye.
say aye.
I,
Thank you.
Any abstentions? Any noes? Okay, motion carried.
Yay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, now we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Amend ACA bylaws. Are we going to do that? Are we going to actually put the effort into doing that, which is gonna take some time, and who will the committee be?
We need to do it because we have to address the issue of the dates for the specialty.
Yes,
We
Oh,
do
Lord,
nothing
but
else
then
we
we
need
have
to
to,
do.
that's a major project because we really have to look at the bylaws, all of them, and say, what do we,
Yes, and
we need to get Doug to finish his thing to see what he comes up with that should be part bylaw, what should be bylaw and what should be operating policy.
as a
They're two different
reminder,
things.
once we do this, we can't do it again for 5 years, so we need to be thorough.
Yes,
Right.
very much so.
It doesn't mean that you can't start working on it, and it's gonna take time.
Yes.
And it may be something we could put out there to the members and ask one or two of them to volunteer to work with the board member on it.
Can we make a special announcement through MailChimp and ask Sherry to publish that, just a special solicitation to request volunteers to work on the bylaw committee?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Excellent
I
idea.
think it's fine. We need 3 board members, I think, on this who would work on it.
I'll volunteer.
Who is that?
That was Kevin.
Okay, Kevin,
Yay, Kevin.
Paul, do I hear your name?
Okay.
I need one more. One more. Let's see. Do I have to just pick Donna or what?
What? No.
Kevin Fines.
Let me think about, I did a bylaw rewrite for another organization.
My approach would be to take the bylaws, put them into a Word document, do a share of that Word document so that we can all comment on it as a live document and start that process from there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good start, and I think basically what you need to think about is the fact that right now you're looking for something that you want to change. And Doug should be, according to his estimate, finishing up somewhere in October. And he will have a good concept at that point as to, do we want things in there
would put
that
him
aren't
on
in
there.
there?
I would put
And
him
then-
on that.
Yeah,
You-
really,
you
because
think
he's
Doug would
he's
do it?
got all the
I
background.
volunteer him.
Is he?
And I
I'm gonna say,
I'm
say,
sorry.
Donna,
Yeah,
you ask him, see what he says,
Okay,
because when I kind of like volunteered him myself, it didn't go very well.
okay, I'll ask. Well, since he's done this, he may
Okay.
be more enthusiastic.
All right, very good. Let's move on. Let's see, let's put Kevin in charge of contacting Sherry to put that email out to the members for help, okay?
Sounds good.
AKT DNA swabs for health testing information, that we have done. I have gotten mine. I believe Sheila has hers.
Me too.
Paul has his. Does anybody not know what we're talking about?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know if I know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
What?
Let's see, Paul, take that one.
So the AKC sent me an email soliciting smaller breed clubs to have their members submit DNA samples of
Oh,
their
okay.
dogs for health reasons and for lots of other reasons. It's in the email on it, which unfortunately I don't have in front of me. But we did discuss it about a month ago, and I thought that Barry was, well, I actually asked her to put it in an email and send it out because it seemed like the consensus was we wanted to do it. And Cameron said, yes, go ahead and do it. So it didn't go out,
Yeah. I haven't
unfortunately.
seen it.
So now we have an option
Now
to the newsletter or put it out in an email. The AKC's preference was the email because they think it will have more impact if people get it as opposed to being in the newsletter. I got them like Cameron and Sheila said. It's very simple. We did the ones for the well, I've forgotten the name. What was the company that we used to have, that we used to work with?
Embark,
Embark.
Embark.
Yes.
Embark.
Same thing, except that you're doing 6 samples per dog, which is great. They want it too, I think. And it's very simple.
And it's free.
For you. You know, I think anybody can do it. It's at no cost. And it's important that not just show people are doing this. We want pet people to do it too, I think. So hopefully some of the members will apply. And it's the link that's in the email just gets you the stuff and they send it to you. Well, I got mine in 2 days. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I got mine fast too.
Yeah. They're really serious about trying to get this done. Now, I do have a question about, and it's just, you know, I've been thinking about it, about how will you actually be contacted by them again now, giving you the results or any results, findings that they have? I don't know that. The Embark people did, of course, because we paid for that, but they may or may not. But I can find out from Monica. I don't think it should stop us from sending the email out because the information needs to be there, whether we get, you know, feedback on it or not. But it'd be nice if we could.
Well, okay. I think that for those, we get that out, and those people who want to go to the link and do that we should encourage it.
Mm-hmm.
And then see what's done. It may help our breed in the future.
Yep.
Okay, next item, Palm Springs 2024 supported entry and or concurrent specialty. It's been brought up that maybe we should go back to Palm Springs like we used to with a supported entry or even a concurrent specialty. What does the board think?
I have talked to the show chairman at the toy club there, and they are very supportive of us, They want us to come back and they will work with us and go forward, either concurrent on Thursday or supported on Thursday and or Friday with the toy club, not Palm Springs.
Right.
I'm fully on board with it. I liked that it was something that could be counted on every year. And for a while, I mean, until things, well, probably 2020 messed everything up, but you know, you could kind of count on that to have a good entry. And for specials, you could kind of count on usually a nice breed entry, which I think is good for the breed. So I'm in full support of it.
And it also has something on the West Coast, and we've been pretty much on the East Coast because of the time restrictions. So I would be willing to step up and do it if the club wishes it.
Hey, full disclosure here right now, I'm listed as the judge, but I will not be judging there. I will not be there, just so everybody knows. You're safe without me there.
We, when we discussed this, Palm Springs supported, prior to this, the only stipulation was that we be separated by give or take days, approximately 6 months from the national, to discourage people from thinking, oh, well, there's going to be a big entry and a specialty at Palm Springs, so I'm going to skip going to the national because it's way over here. And of course, as Pam said, 2024 is on the East Coast practically, being in Georgia, but it's only 4 months after Palm Springs, which is a little tight. And as much work as Sally's wanted to put into making the Atlanta show a fantastic show, I don't think we want to undercut her, but we could definitely consider it for 25 because that's going to be a July show and plenty of room there for having a Palm Springs concurrent specialty and then going in 6 months later to have the actual national specialty.
At this point, I would like to interject. If we don't want to do a concurrent, those of us that live on the West Coast tend to go east. Those on the East Coast don't go west. And why can we only have one nice show. I mean, just because we're a small breed doesn't mean, it's not like the National is 2 months later. I mean, the National is the National. This is just a specialty show.
We don't
Yeah, I'll
have
be going
regional
to the national.
clubs because we don't have enough people in the country to hold regional specialties like the big breeds do.
Well,
And
actually,
I have
no,
nothing against holding a supported entry. I'm not happy with a concurrent specialty.
okay, then let's do it that way.
If you want to do a supported in 24 and then plan on a concurrent for 25, because there isn't going to be much of a conflict, that'd be great.
I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah, I think that's good too.
Throw something else in the mix here. I was talking with Lorraine Biso, who's a judge, and also on the board of Morris and Essex a couple of weeks ago at a show before she was judging, and we were talking about Afro Bridges and whatever. And she remembered that we did support them, had a supported entry there at their last show, and she's really anxious to have us back. And that is in 25, I believe.
Yes, I talked to her about the standard pinchers, having our national in 2025, and I asked her about African pinchers, and she said somebody had already talked to her.
She was getting, it wasn't, when did you speak with her?
Well,
Yeah,
I only
guys,
spoke to her
it's
2 weeks
getting
ago. She was
um,
looking up
it's
here.
getting late, and Morris and Essex is a year and a half away. It isn't that far out for a January show. So what I'm asking is, do I pursue this, or do you want it to just go
I
fall
might have
apart?
been on mute, but I did make a motion. I might have been on mute though. My motion was to have a support entry in 2024 at Palm Springs and to have a concurrent specialty in Palm Springs in 2025.
Second.
okay. We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Call the
Okay,
question.
all in favor? All
Aye.
in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed? Any abstentions? And Pam will be doing both of those shows. Is that correct, Pam?
Yes, I will.
Okay. All right. Passed. Motion carried.
Assuming I'm still alive and functional.
Exactly. Okay, the next thing on the agenda, it says Judges Education Chair. I believe I covered everything already. So as it stands right now, I'll be handling any judges education that comes through, and so far we are good through February of 24. Also, we will be doing judges education at the Nationals. So we will either have Jackie back, or I will be there looking for help to be putting that on, but it will be covered. Okay. ACA supplemental stipend for Meet the Breed volunteers.
And I will I will suggest that we table that till our next meeting. There is no hurry on that.
That's fine. Tabled. And let me move back up. I think I missed something. The board, and we can table this too. It says the board discussed and approved. The board is to discuss and approve the allocation of funds to cover the traveling and meals expenses incurred by the club president and the treasurer for attending club's national specialty. It is imperative that these individuals attend the national, and they should be reimbursed by the club for doing so. I'm not sure who sent this in, but I can tell you that I was told a number of years ago that the president was paid a stipend or something for going. Do we want to table this to the next meeting?
Do we?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we can. Table to the next meeting. Any other new business? Motion to adjourn.
I so move. Donna.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second, Karen.
And vote. Goodbye. Sorry, Donna, we're 10 minutes late.
All right,
Night all.
bye,
Right.
See you guys.
Good night.
good night.
Bye-bye.
Aye.